We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. It is Monday. So much shit to talk about. And as you might expect, we've got a bunch of emails to catch up on today. Um, of course, I just got back from Washington, D.C., actually staying in Old Town Alexandria. Absolutely beautiful place. I was there speaking to a conference of court reporters. And I never really thought much about court reporters. But as I'm there and I'm talking to these mostly women, but some men too, it's amazing how cool their job is. I mean, it's a very difficult job, but we're talking about people that were involved with Fonnie Willis, uh, big cases from over the years. It's pretty amazing. Marianne, who's a follower on TikTok, was the one that got me to come out there, and I'm glad she did. It was an absolutely wonderful time. It wasn't like your typical conferences. Every night and every afternoon, it was at a different restaurant. When I went there, I spoke the first night, Thursday night. It was a very quaint restaurant. There were maybe 50, 60 people there, and I spoke. It went well. Even my wife said, "You did pretty good, man," which is hard to get from my wife. But I had a wonderful time getting to know these folks. Very bright, very nice people, and wild as fuck. They know how to have fun. They know how to have fun. I was probably the only one in the room that doesn't drink, and that includes my wife. I told my wife after I talked to these people early on, I talked to them on a Zoom, and the day before the election, actually. And I want to talk about that for a moment. But I told my wife, I said, "You're going to have a lot of fun during this because these women are not dissimilar from you." But my wife was a little concerned about me going or us going to this event because this group of women, they're and some men uh, are Democratic in nature, hate Donald Trump, so we're on the same page there. Day before the election, she said, these people are very nervous, very upset. Would you come to the Zoom meeting and try to make them feel better? Which, of course, I did, which, of course, didn't turn out like I said it would turn out. Turns out I was wrong. My wife said, "I don't know if you want to go there. They're probably not too happy with you." I said, "Honey, I took a look at the facts. Everything that said Donald Trump would lose was there. It's not like I just made this shit up. I can't explain why this happened. Now I have a better sense as to why it happened. We'll talk about that in a bit." But we went and couldn't be more friendly. It all went very well. We got to know a lot of folks um, in the group. Like I say, wonderful folks. And one of the advantages I had to going to this is I spoke on Thursday, I think, and then on Friday, Glenn Kirshner spoke. And he's one of these people that I have a lot of respect for. Former prosecutor, knows a lot about the legal aspects, the judicial aspects. He knows a lot about the Constitution. He's just a very smart guy. And a lot of information I get and then dig into is stuff coming from him because I know it's true and I know he knows what he's talking about. Had a chance to meet him, and I was a little surprised because he's being a lawyer and being somebody on mainstream media. I thought he might be hard to deal with. Not at all. He was very down to earth. He's in a similar situation that I'm in that he has three daughters and like three granddaughters. So he's very concerned about what's going on. And he gave people some lights of hope in his speech. Now, whether any of those pan out, we don't know. He doesn't know. And he was in the same mindset I was prior to the election. So I don't feel so bad that if Glenn Kirshner felt that way, the same way I felt, at least I knew I was on the right track for the right reasons. And then on Saturday night, the speaker was V from Under the Desk News. V Spihar, I think is her name. And she does Under the Desk News, and she's wildly popular on TikTok, has like 3 or 4 million followers. She's on YouTube. She is actually a legitimate journalist, and they're hard to find these days. She does other things other than TikTok. She actually started out as a chef and then she started doing this stuff online. She's not a trained journalist. She didn't go to college, but she understands the whole process. And what she basically does is tells you what's going on. She doesn't really give opinion, but she is well connected, because she's so popular. She's met with Joe Biden. She's met with Barack Obama. She knows and talks to regularly Katie, what's her name? Former communications. She's on MSNBC. Anyway, she knows all these people. She talks to all those people. And I was sitting with her at dinner and she said the same thing. I'm getting all kinds of heat because I said that Kamala's going to win. There's no problem with it. It's going to happen. All the facts prove that out. And then when it didn't happen, of course, she got a lot of heat. She asked me, did I get a lot of heat? And the funny thing is I didn't get a lot of heat. I've got some people blaming me for what happened. And, if you want to do that, that's fine. There's only so much I can do. I can just report what I know and what I see and tell you what I think that means. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I wasn't the only one wrong. V was wrong. Glenn Kirshner was wrong. A lot of people were wrong. There are some things apparently we didn't consider about this election because, there's talks of cheating on the Republican side. I don't know if that's true. And even if it were true, are they going to do anything about it? I'm totally disappointed in the judicial system or Congress. I think they all let us down. Certainly the media not only let us down, but they are fucking complicit in this whole thing. So I'm not expecting anything much to come out of it. But the thing we all missed is that the Democrats stepped on their own dick. And what I mean by that is, as I understand it, there's a discrepancy. Donald Trump in 2020 got 74 million votes. Joe Biden got 81 million votes. Now, in my mind, with all that's going on, there should have been more voters coming out in 2024 than what we saw in 2020. And that was record breaking. But in 2024, Donald Trump once again got about 74 million votes. No different than what happened in 2020. He gained nothing. And even that kind of surprised me because I thought he'd lose quite a bit. But there's no accounting for dumb fucks. The real discrepancy is how many Kamala Harris got. She got 70 million votes, which is about 11 million votes less than Joe Biden got. How is that possible? Now, again, there's some people that suggest there's some shady things going on, and there could be. I don't know enough about it to speak about it. And if the DOJ and other people are going to dig into it and bring us evidence, that's fine. I will tell you this, though. Anytime I run into a Trumplefuck and they kind of taunt me, I'll just say the election was rigged. And based on history, I don't need any evidence. I just said it, so it's so. I'm sure they'll appreciate that. So anyway, my point is where did those 11 or 12 or 15 million votes go? When you go in the media, they will say, well, we're missing 15 million votes. That's a weird way to word it. That would suggest somebody stole the votes. Now, again, there are people out there that think votes were stolen. I don't know. I haven't seen any evidence of it. But what was really being said was, where are the people who got out to vote? Presumably, it could be people who just chose not to vote at all or just to vote down ballot and not to vote for the president. So who might that be? Well, it could be any number of reasons for that. A lot of it could be racism. A lot of it could be misogyny. Too many people in this country don't want a woman as president of the United States, a black woman, no less. Now, I don't know if that's part of it, but it wouldn't surprise me based on what we've seen from this country. Secondly, there are a lot of far left people and young people that presumably didn't vote for Kamala Harris because they're mad at Joe Biden about the handling of the Israeli-Hamas war. And those poor people caught as collateral damage in the middle, in Gaza, the Palestinians. Didn't like the way Joe Biden handled that. So they are going to protest. They're going to show their pride and strength and not vote for Kamala. Maybe they didn't even vote for Donald Trump, but they certainly didn't vote for Kamala Harris. Now, here's the problem. We've got so many people misinformed in this country. They called him Genocide Joe because he didn't do exactly what they wanted. Joe did exactly what he can legally do, given the circumstances, given that Israel is our ally. But they didn't cut him any slack for that. So they vote against him, and Donald Trump wins. But here's what the people who voted against Kamala Harris to show their support for Israel or Hamas or Palestine. I don't know who they're supporting, probably more so Palestine than anything else. But for those people that didn't vote for Kamala because of Genocide Joe, I'm going to tell you what you're going to get. Donald Trump is best buddies with Bibi Netanyahu. Bibi Netanyahu has no motivation to end this war. In fact, he wants to perpetuate the war because when the war is over, then he's probably going to get kicked out of office and sent to jail. So he doesn't want the war to end. Donald Trump, being a best buddy to Bibi Netanyahu, is going to say, do whatever you want, because he's already said that. He may provide more weaponry. And what's going to happen, as far as Donald Trump's concerned, just bomb the piss out of Hamas. But in the process, you're going to kill more people, more occupants of Gaza, presumably Palestinians. That's what's going to happen. And the fact of the matter is you think Joe is Genocide Joe? You ain't seen nothing yet. It'll be Genocide Donald Trump, Genocide Bibi Netanyahu. But here's what I want to tell the people that didn't vote for Kamala because didn't like the way Joe handled things. When this tragedy, this horrific tragedy that's more than likely going to happen in that Middle East war, it may end quickly with Israel winning, but there's going to be a lot of death and destruction. You can blame Donald Trump if you want, and he will deserve some of the blame. Bibi Netanyahu will deserve some of the blame. But those motherfuckers that refuse to vote for Kamala, the fault lays at your feet, and the blood is on your hands. So you can whine and cry all you want, talk about Joe Biden, but you just killed a lot of Palestinian people. And I'm at a point now, I've always said I don't have a dog in the race. I don't, or dog in the fight, and I don't know enough about it. You know, I've hopefully stood up for the Palestinians and would like the war to end. But these radical left and these young people that didn't think about what they were doing, when you come crying, I'm not going to show you much sympathy. We tried to do the right thing. We tried to help the people of Gaza, but you did everything to put them in peril. You're going to have to live with that. And trust me, I'm going to remind you motherfuckers of it every time. We'll wait and see what happens. We will hope for the best. But Donald Trump's in charge as of January 20th. And I'm not counting on the fucking best. The other thing I want to say about Donald Trump is that he makes a lot of campaign promises. Oh, he loves the campaign promises. But he never actually fulfills those promises. Let me give you a case in point. He said he was going to build this big, beautiful wall down on the border and make Mexico pay for it. There is no big, beautiful wall, and Mexico didn't pay shit. This is what Donald Trump does. He says whatever the fuck comes to his mind, whatever he thinks is going to be beneficial to him. And he never follows through with it because he just pulled this shit out of his ass. He said something before the election, and I'm curious as to how the Trump-fucks will respond to this. What he said was the war in the Ukraine with Russia, I can end it in 24 hours. And it seemed like he was talking about after he's inaugurated. But he said, no, no, no. I can end the war in 24 hours right after I'm elected. Well, as I look at the calendar, we're 5 days beyond the end of the election, and nothing's happened. There are no talks, nothing going on. In fact, something weird's going on. And I was talking to Old Soul, and by the way, Old Soul will be on this week. I know you're wondering about her, worried about her. She's fine. She's a little emotional about all this stuff, but she's still working. She's on a Zoom meeting tonight. Otherwise, she'd be on tonight, but she'll be on. But Donald Trump will say anything, and he never follows through with it. And he'll act like, well, I never said that. Here's the interesting thing that's going on. First of all, we know Elon and Donald Trump are talking regularly to Vladimir Putin. That's troubling. That's sketchy. But something happened yesterday that's kind of interesting. An old soul asked me about this. Apparently, in Russia, they're laughing about the fact that Donald Trump won, which is laughable to another country, especially an adversarial country. But they also posted nude pictures of Melania, and they're laughing and joking. Old Soul said to me, why would they do that? I thought they're buddies. No, no, no. Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin aren't buddies. Donald Trump might think they are, but Vladimir Putin knows better. So why would he post these pictures of Melania Trump? It's a shot across the bow. That's what it is. A shot across the bow saying, Donnie, this is what we're doing for your wife. You better fall in line or your shit's coming out next. You see, Vladimir Putin is not his friend. He's giving Donald Trump a warning. He's showing his superiority in this situation. And Donald Trump at heart is a wild ass, pussy ass coward. So hopefully we'll get some strength from other Republicans in dealing with Vladimir Putin. I'm not hopeful for that. We're going to get to the emails in a second. I just want to say one other thing. I had the good fortune, my wife and I had the good fortune of meeting Garage Door Jeff and his lovely wife. He said, I'm coming up and I want to meet you even for a second. And I said, no, no, we can spend some time. We had a little bet. The bet was that Kamala would win by more than 11 million votes. That was my bet. And he said she would win by under 11 million votes. Well, we were both wrong, but I tried to stick by my bets. And we had lunch at this little place called Bob and Edith's Diner. It's very retro. The food's actually pretty good. Right next to my hotel. He pulls up. We walk around the corner. We have lunch together. And, wonderful guys you might expect. And we talked about all of what's going on. And he's a very bright fella. His wife is a very bright woman too. So it was a lively conversation. And I said, Jeff, I've got a pointed question for you. You need to fucking answer this. I said, you write all these wonderful emails. I love reading your emails. I've suggested you should come on the show. And people who have written in said he should come on the show. People who have guested on the show said he should come on the show. But you ain't coming on the show. What's up? You don't even respond to that. And apparently it's a technology type thing. He doesn't have a laptop or a desktop computer. And I say, you don't need that. You just have your phone. And he has no clue how to do that. So I'm going to try to work with him to get him on the show, try to help him figure out how to do it on the phone. It's pretty simple, really. But we'll get him on the show. But had a wonderful time talking to Garage Door Jeff and his wife. It was a great time. I'd give her name. I don't know that she wants her name out there, so I'll just give her some anonymity. But it was wonderful to meet them. I had a wonderful time in Washington, D.C. We had a little bit of time to go into D.C. and see the Capitol. I wanted to see the White House before it was, I wanted to see the White House before it was designated Section 8 and entered into the registry of sex offenders. Because you would think it'd have to be. Donald Trump is living there. Fuck. And he's a sex offender. There's no question about that. He's been adjudicated as such. Anyway, we saw the Washington Monument. We saw the um, Lincoln Monument. We saw the reflecting pool. We saw a lot of stuff. We had a good time. It was a wonderful time. And I can't thank Marianne and her group for inviting us out to participate. It was one of my one of our funnest trips. And I know that's not grammatically correct, but I don't give a fuck at this point. Um, my wife had a great time. That's important. I had a great time. We met some wonderful people, and it was great. It was great. And I will tell you this to show you how woke I am. It was funny. These parties with these events got decidedly more, I'll say, fun or a little wild. And I'm not talking crazy wild. But the last night, it was wrapped up with a drag show. Now, imagine there's a bunch of women in there. We've got the drag show going on, and people are coming over to me. Are you freaked out? No, I'm not freaked out by that. I'm an old white guy, but I'm cool with drag shows. They're very entertaining, funny and entertaining um, people there. And no, it didn't freak me out at all. Not at all. It was a good time. Every bit of what we did in that conference was a good fucking time. All right, I've been talking a long time. We need to get to the emails. We got a bunch of them. This one comes from Paul. He says, as a good Canadian neighbor, I offer my condolences on your electoral loss. If it's a consolation per capita, there are as many short-sighted and dumbass citizens in Canada as in the U.S. Please note, U.S. citizens do not come to Canada. Long term, it won't matter. I figure in his third term, Trump will invade Mexico and Canada to stem the inflow of migrants. Forget e pluribus unum. It's now whether you like it or not. Dag nabbit yanks another 8 or more years of this sphincter mouth a-hole. He's dragging VP Musk and Deputy VP JD Vance with him. Stunned into silence in Ottawa, Paul. Well, first of all, Donald Trump can only run one more time. That's in the Constitution. You're going to have to go through some serious shit if you want to change that. By the time this is done and what he does to this country, um, JD Vance isn't going to be a hot prospect. And VP Musk, well, he's not a VP. He can never be president because he wasn't born in this country. All right, this next one is one of few that I've got. I've got a few of these. This comes from Joe from New York. He says, you are part of the reasons Dems lose elections. Change your show to the irrational has-been boomer podcaster, Joe in New York. Irrational boomer. Boy, that's original. I've never fucking heard that. Has been? I never was, so how can I be a has been? Joe, I'm sorry you feel that way, but fuck you. I don't care. I'm not doing this to gain followers or gain views. I'm just doing what I do and seeing where the chips fall. You don't want to listen anymore? I'm cool with that. That's fine. We don't need negative attitudes in what we're trying to do here on the show. All right, the next one says, hi, Mike. Looking at the numbers, as you said, Trump didn't gain any new voters. It looks like his total will be about what it was in 2020, but the Dems had nearly 15% of our people just sit this one out. Harris Walls ran a flawless campaign, worked their butts off. Trump was making obvious threats for revenge and destruction, insulting and denigrating everyone not in his cult. Trump didn't gain the independent voters. He won this 100% with his cult and not a single vote extra. We lost because over 10 million that voted for Biden Harris last time just didn't bother to vote at all. Democracy dies in darkness, but it also dies from apathy. Sadly, yours, First Sergeant Al, U.S. Army retired. Yeah. Well, I can't disagree with you there. I don't think democracy is going to ultimately die. I think things are going to get a little ugly here. And I think a lot of people who fucked around and found out are going to have a different take on things when these Latino men that voted for him realize he's going to deport their motherfuckers. They're going to have a little different take. I think people in the black community supported Donald Trump. I saw something on TikTok where where the this particular MAGA fuck, this African American guy, was upset because after Trump won, he's trying to commune and talk to all his MAGA brethren. And they basically told him, we don't like you. We just needed your vote. We got your votes. Fuck off. And he was a little surprised by that. I think there's going to be a lot of people surprised. All right, the next one says, "Hi, Mike. My take in history in USA doesn't want a female president. Thanks, Rita." I'll be honest with you, when she was running and the way it was going, I would have disagreed with you. But you have to wonder if sexism and racism wasn't in play here. There were a lot of people that said we aren't ready for a woman, let alone a black woman, to be president. I would have said, that's silly. That's ridiculous. That's short sighted. It's 2024. But after what happened on November 5th, you have to wonder. You have to consider that. I don't know. It's fucked up. Hey, Boomer, this is Mike here. I follow you on TikTok. My thoughts here are the facts: 77 million voted by mail or early, almost 2020 election total votes. Walk-in lines on election day were hours of waiting time. Okay, here's another fact: 44 million total votes, less than 2020. I live in Ohio. When tracking my vote, it says received, waiting to be counted. No other info available. 3 of my friends got the same thing. My brother, we had a record 77 million early and mail-in votes election day. Votes were lined up for 2 hours waiting. Yet we had 44 million less votes than last election. Virtually impossible. I'm nobody, but someone like you might fact check me and realize the only stolen election was this one. Mike from Canton, Ohio, 66 years old, retired steel mill worker. I've heard a lot about this, and I don't know all the facts about this. I have not dug into it, but there are a lot of people out there saying, "Hey, my vote wasn't counted. We had massive early voting, yet we had less votes in the end." You're absolutely right. That makes no sense. That is a little weird. That is a little sketchy. Here's my problem with it, though. Even if there was some kind of funny business going on, we've come to realize something. There's been a lot of failures in this whole process. The media, not only a failure, but complicit in Donald Trump becoming president. I've made the commitment that I will not watch mainstream media news anymore. I'll go to people like V or Glenn Kirshner or Midas Touch. That's the only place I'm going to get my news because I'm tired of the bullshit. Now, the reason I do that is not that I can't discern whether it's real or not. It's because I don't want to benefit them in any way. I don't want them to earn money off of me. And I think a lot of people should get away from it because clearly they don't tell the truth. Clearly they're not accurate. And clearly they don't tell you everything. So if we know that now after this election, why would we continue to watch them? I don't think we would. I don't think we should. I think we should send a message. Let these motherfuckers go broke. Go to your favorite trusted people on the internet. Like I say, Midas Touch, Glenn Kirshner, V, me, whoever. Fuck those people. They've done nothing to benefit this country, and they've done nothing but hurt the good people of this country. All right, the next one says, "Hi, Mike. Like you, I was a believer that Trump was unelectable. I thought Biden would beat him, and I was sure Kamala would. I thought his bragging, taking responsibility for overturning of Roe would finish him. I was wrong. So I'm eating crow today. I'm trying to analyze what happened. She was obviously the better candidate, and she ran a superb campaign. He simply did not. So I am stumped. I'm going to assume for now that she lost a lot of votes because she's female and a lot more votes because she's black. The final breakdown might prove me wrong, but right now I don't know what else to believe. Keep up your good work. We will get through this." Scott from Bright Red County, Pennsylvania. I mean, that's the first and obvious thing you have to consider: race and gender. What else could it be? She ran a perfect race. Donald Trump ran the worst race. She gained more money. And when you look at all these things, I can understand why people think there might be something shady going on. And the question is, it's not the voting machines that are the problem. People are suggesting that Elon Musk's Starlink internet was used for transmitting some of the votes after they came into the box to the headquarters or whatever it is. Now, I didn't even know that that's true. I have to find that out. But if that's true, that's worth looking at. And would it surprise me that Elon Musk did something sketchy? I don't know. I will say this: anytime I see a Trumplefuck and they try to taunt me with Trump won, I'm going to say, the fucker was rigged. And they're going to make some comment. No, it wasn't. Do you have evidence? Nope, don't have any evidence. Don't need any. For the past 4 years, you didn't need any. I don't need any. Fucking rigged. Fucking rigged. Just to piss them off. All right. Next one says, this is my first time to touch base with you. I follow you on Facebook and very much enjoy your podcast on Spotify every day. Something just doesn't smell right to me about this election results. How is it possible to raise that kind of money, hold such huge rallies, and have all the support and enthusiasm that Kamala had and lose the election? That just doesn't make any sense to me. I can't help but feel that they pulled something out of their asses to come up with this result. That's a reasonable thing to consider. I too have no clue for it. I mean, I woke up, I went to bed at about 1 o'clock because I was getting really tired of seeing this negativity on this race, and I really thought she would win. Next morning, my wife woke me up, and this is what she said to me. She said, that motherfucker won. You promised me. She said, how does this happen? I go, I don't fucking honestly know. I don't know how it happens. I still don't know. Well, I have a better idea where apparently Democrats stepped on their own dick. Um, he goes on to say, could this be the secret plan that Mike Johnson and the orange pile of garbage had been planning? I doubt it, because he was saying that assuming he was going to lose. That's the only time Mike Johnson might remotely have a chance to do something is with Congress, with the House after he lost. So I don't think it's any big secret plan there. And if there's a secret plan, it would have to be with Elon or somebody bigger. He goes on to say, I really fear for our country and what will happen to our democracy in these next 4 years. Guess there's way more dumb fucks, as you call them, in our country than we realized. Well, no question. There are way more dumb fucks than I imagined. I thought we'd maybe have a third. And I'm kind of right in the sense that there are 70 million people, 74 million people that voted for Donald Trump. And that basically is a third or a fourth of the total population of the country. But in terms of voters, looks like it's more than half. So fuck me. I can't wait to hear what you have to say when starts doing all the things that he's going to do. Thank you for all you do to keep us sane and up to date. Keep up the good work. Sent from my iPhone, Kathleen. Well, thank you, Kathleen. I appreciate that immensely. We're continuing on. Hi, Mike. Keep up the good work. There are so many things to discuss: women's rights, Social Security, Trump wanted list, NATO, Ukraine, Russia, immigrants, courtroom, Elon Musk paid for votes, book ban a la Russia, media ban a la Russia. But most of all, I would like to say that what the fuck happened? Fascist circus against democracy, and Americans choose Trump and Project 2025. Really? But I think that Democrats can play by the rule of law. They can't play by the rule of law anymore. They need to step up and confront harder to change the rhetoric, and is one way instead of letting everything go wrong and just stand still and watch. Trump's book is totally open. Craziest things were not hidden. 78 years old. Where did the Taylor Swift's, Beyonce, Springsteen's fan base go? Are they mostly in states that do not matter, like New York and California? 14 million people did not vote in these states, said Lawrence, and that is sick. The system is complex. After the rain, the sun will come out. All the best, Krister. Yeah. Yeah. I wish I could understand it more. I think we'll find out more as time goes on. But let's be honest with you. The people who have failed us, like I said, the media, the judicial system, Congress, fucking Democratic Party failed us too. They had this in hand. They should have won, and they didn't. Whether they weren't watching and they got fooled or tricked, or whether they did or didn't do the right things. It's hard for me to say that they didn't do the right things because consider how it was going for Kamala Harris. I don't know how it could be better. I got people saying, well, Joe Biden should have stepped down and let Kamala be the president. They said he should have handed it off earlier. I will say this. I think that Joe Biden should have stuck by his guns and said, I'm not going to run again in 2024 because he was going to be too old. He chose to do it um, for good reason. He thought he was the one person that could beat Donald Trump. And who knows? Maybe he was fucking right. Maybe he was right. In spite of the fact that he's old and slow, so is Donald Trump. But the media made sure he took the toll for it and Donald Trump didn't. So fuck the media. All right, the next one says, Hi, Boomer. I just finished listening to your podcast for Wednesday morning. We are going to go through the 5 stages of grief for our country, more like the ideals that we're supposed to embody in these United States. When we could look up to our leaders and at least knowing that they weren't trying to lie and sell the country out to the highest bidder. I will not watch corporate media for the next 4 years at least. I don't know. I just can't stomach it. I want to be in the fight, so I will be catching you every day to see what's going on. Thank God I live in a blue state. Everything went blue here like it's supposed to, except Kamala. I just wanted you to know that I don't blame you. I had the same feeling about this election, and it was always destiny. You gave us hope, and it's not your fault. The results would have ended up being the same, whether you would have been cynical about it or hopeful. I chose the hopeful path. It makes me ashamed that so many people in this country would choose the hate, the lies, the corruption, and the unlawfulness of Donald Trump over a woman because that's what it was. They couldn't handle it. A woman. Wow. I won't see a woman president in my lifetime, unfortunately. They won't put up one. The ignorant idiots, women and men that choose Donald Trump over the most qualified woman and the greatest VP is just sickening. I hope karma gets Donald Trump. He will get what's coming to him. He's on the clock. He's 78. He's not in good health. Thank goodness, but then we would have to contend with Shady Vance. The old adage between a rock and a hard place, but we will still fight for democracy or go down fighting. I appreciate what you do, Rhonda. Now, people are worried about J.D. Vance, and I will tell you this. Glenn Kirshner said this about J.D. Vance. I don't like him. He would not be a good president, but he would probably be better than Donald Trump. And here's why. Donald Trump is just fucking crazy. He's going to do stupid shit. He's going to say stupid shit. He can't run again, so he's got nothing to lose. If J.D. Vance ends up being VP, he will still have the fucked up evangelical ideas. But he's going to want to reform the Republican Party and make it more reasonable, make it more normal, because he's going to want to get elected again in 2028. So I'm not excited about the prospect of J.D. Vance being president. I think that's a real possibility now because I don't see Donald Trump making it the next 2 years. There's going to be a problem for Donald Trump. He's going to do some horrible things to the economy. He's going to do some horrible things to people with his deportations and all that shit. Republicans are not going to be popular in 2026. They're going to lose the House and the Senate if they keep this kind of behavior up. J.D. Vance gets in. He's going to want to settle things down and be a real president if he can. I don't think he ever can. But it's not going to be hard to be better than Donald Trump, more reasonable than Donald Trump. It's not a win for us if JD Vance is the president, but it might save us from some of the fucking craziness that we're looking at now. All right, we are going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, we are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. We're doing emails. We got a bunch of them. It's been a while. A lot of disappointment in this world, but we're going to power through it and we're going to come out on the good side eventually. Next one says, thanks for your podcast Thursday. You're right. Life serves up disappointments. It's part of living. One should acknowledge the issue, review and address it, and then set a goal to move on. What one should do is build a shrine to what might have been in one's mind and visit it daily. At its core, the American mindset is definitely not aligned with, nor ever will be, that of folks presently living under authoritarian rule. The American independent attitude has propelled the country and its culture to world prominence for many years. That is not going to change. The orange sphincter-mouthed baboon is not long for this world. Trump is melting emotionally, mentally, and physically. Like Hitler, Trump is a political anomaly. Who can replace him? JD, Don Jr., Elon Musk? During his term, he will either die or gradually be seen as senile and unofficially retired so he can go play golf while Elon and Stephen Miller types run things. The goal should be ready for Trump's expiration through political engagement at all levels of government. Start now. Use the pro-life techniques developed over the last 50 years to kill Roe. Infiltrate local, state, federal levels of government to reset the democratic course. Won't be easy and it won't be quick, but oh God, Jesus, Americans don't know when to quit. Thanks, Paul. Now, you're absolutely right. We've got to look at the way they dealt with the Democrats as of recently and how they dealt with overturning Roe v. Wade. We got to be more aggressive, more assertive, and if we have to fight dirty now and again, so be it. It's not a matter of whether you're being good about this. We're in the process of trying to save democracy. There should be nothing off the table. And if we have to fight dirty a little bit, so be it. We got to fight for the greater good. TikTok person had a great idea. Biden should step down and make Kamala president. What do you think? Suzanne, the little old lady from North Carolina. Yeah, I've heard that before. I don't know what that gains us. But, maybe it would be a stick in the eye to all the racist misogynists that don't want to see a black woman as president. They'd have to deal with that for at least a month or two. So I don't know that Joe Biden would do that. I don't know that Kamala Harris would want to do that. And I don't know really what it would help in the long run. It would be a nice owning a Trump-la-fuck, but is that worth the time? I don't know. I can't speak to that because I don't understand the whole reason for doing it, but maybe somebody can enlighten me and we can discuss that further. But I don't know. Maybe. Next one says, hi, Boomer. After taking a day of mourning, I think it's time to start holding the corporate media responsible for screwing this country along with their wealthy backing. I think the best way is to hit them where it hurts their pockets. I couldn't agree more. We should all, or at least the half of the country that is rational, stop watching any programming on their networks, especially Fox, CNN, etc. And yes, that includes sports. I feel if enough of us stop watching, then altogether it will hurt them where it hurts. And who knows, eventually make them change. I don't care. I don't think we're going to make them change. I just want to make them suffer. Um, at least would reduce more of their propaganda bullshit. Your thoughts, Massachusetts, Oliver. I agree with you. That's what I'm doing. I'm not watching mainstream media news at all. Not at all. I haven't since the election, and I won't anymore. They've done nothing but lie and manipulate us. And if we know that for a fact, why would we continue to watch them? I've got plenty of places I can get real news. Like I said, from Under the Desk News, Glenn Kirshner, Midas Touch, some of the other hosts that are on TikTok and YouTube. We can get the same information. We can get valuable, accurate information. So why go to MSNBC? And again, I want to say this, it's not just Fox News or CNN, it's MSNBC too. I'm grown tired of MSNBC and I've had about enough of fucking Rachel Maddow. Really, honestly. I know that might be unpopular, but I don't like the things she's doing. I think she walked into a lot of money, which she probably earned, but now she's towing the line and putting on these little shows, these scare shows that she's doing. And I'm fucking tired of it. Really tired of it. All right. The next one says, Hi, Boomer. Well, I'm not a happy camper. No shit. And I absolutely can't figure out what the hell happened. All the facts added up to a win for the Democrats, and yet we lost. How could 20 to 25 million voters not go out and vote? After all the money donated to the Harris campaign, after all the positive, upbeat messaging, nothing makes any sense. I'm not nuts about conspiracy theories, but I can't help but wonder if this shouldn't be looked at. I'm in the same spot. I'm not big on conspiracy theories. I'm not whining because I didn't get my way, but it does seem sketchy. Seems like anything Donald Trump is involved in is sketchy. Like when the assassination attempt happened. Before we knew anything, everybody says it was staged. And then when I found out people actually died in that assassination attempt, I go, probably not staged. Nobody would take it that far. And then I got thinking about it and realized that 1 million people died of COVID, something Donald Trump said was a hoax. So apparently he's not concerned with collateral damage. Just by virtue of Donald Trump being a principal in that assassination attempt makes you wonder, was it staged? Was it sketchy? Was there something about this? Maybe Donald Trump didn't know. Maybe it was the Republican. I don't know. But anything Donald Trump is involved in, you have to look sideways at. Goes on to say, I don't blame you for any of this shit. You made all the right predictions. For some reason, everything went against us. As long as you want to do a podcast, rest assured I'll be sitting in my kitchen with my coffee listening. Keep up the good and the right fight. Barb G in Janesville, Wisconsin. Well, thank you. I want you to know this. I've been in the business of media for a long time, and there's always something that you say or do that pisses some people off. And I'll be honest with you, I've talked to Arlene Unfiltered, I talked to Kirshner, I've talked to V. They're getting hit way harder than I am. In fact, um, I was talking to Arlene today, Arlene Unfiltered, and she was kind of freaking out because the Trump-lefucks are attacking her. But even some Trump-lefucks found out members of her family and their numbers and were calling looking for her there. I mean, that's pretty bad. That isn't happening to me. And I think largely the reason it isn't happening to me is because from the beginning, I blocked every Trump-lefuck. My contention was if they can't see you, they can't hurt you. I don't care what they think. I don't want them involved. I only want people of a like mind. So I've been very careful about blocking these Trump-lefucks. But Arlene's relatively new and she's getting some heat. She's gone private. Some people said she's going to start charging for her content. That's not true. She's only talking to the people that are her friends because she's getting hit all over the place. Now, the problem is she's getting people within her friends list hitting her too. That means she's got a fair amount of Trump-lefucks that are following her. And therein lies the problem. Basically, what I said was, you got to block them all. Doesn't matter if it cuts into your followers. If you don't block them all, they're going to be a danger to your platform. All right, this next one comes from Shelly. I'm just sending you good vibes for your trip to Washington, D.C. Fight the power. I still believe in your positive outlook. Shelly, thank you. And I will tell you this, that's the vast majority of the emails I get. I've gotten a few that said, you fucking lied to us or all that stuff. And here's one thing I learned about being in the media. Early on when I got into the media, I said, somebody told me, they said, Mike, here's what you got to consider. You can't let your ego get away from you. There are people that are going to absolutely love you and people that absolutely hate you. And you can't take either one of them too much to heart. You're on the radio, or in this case, on the internet. It is what it is. There will be people that like me and people that don't like me. I have an advantage over somebody like V or Glenn Kirshner. They're trying to build a platform. They're trying to build a business. They're trying to build the future. I'm not doing that. I might make a few bucks from TikTok and YouTube and stuff, but I'm not trying to build a business here. I'm 64 years old. I'm not looking for the next step, to go on national news or local. I won't do that. I mean, if any of those national people said, we want to talk to you about this, I'd say, fuck yourself. I don't want to do that. I don't want somebody telling me what I can and can't say. But based on the way I do the show and the way I swear and stuff, they're never going to ask me that. Never, especially when I talk shit about the media. So I'm not worried about that. If I lost half my followers on TikTok and half my followers on YouTube, oh well. As long as I have listeners, whether it be 10 or 10 million, I don't give a fuck. I'll be here doing what I'm doing. Hey there, Boomer. Longtime fan here. Like many of us, I simply don't feel the facts going into the election make sense with the voting results that we got. If we won fair and square, so be it. And I will be happy to accept the results. And I know this may sound something MAGA would say, but I do feel something fishy happened, especially with Trump saying things like, we have a little secret and we don't need votes. I don't disagree with you. It all seems very fishy. And when it comes down to Donald Trump, anything is possible and anything is probably fucking shady. I've also heard in several places that voter registration systems are hosted by Amazon, AWS. We all know that Jeff Bezos was pro-Trump, and it would not surprise me in the least if there was some manipulation that occurred through the Amazon systems. Of course, I have no proof in the slightest, but it does seem like a conflict of interest to have Amazon host the voting services, does it not? I didn't know that. With all due respect, I don't know that that's true. I'd have to verify that. But if it is true, that is a little sketchy. Just throwing it out there, and I would love your thoughts. Well, she sent me a link. She said, here's a link. Admittedly, it's a little out of date, but does talk about Amazon's involvement in the voting system. I will read that and try to get a sense of what that means and see if it has any bearing on what we're looking at now. Thank you for your time. A blue dot in West Virginia. All right, the next one says, Dear Mike, the unfathomable happened, but you're still standing, and so am I. Blame is the game of pussy ass bitches. I agree. I, like you, believe that good would prevail. Like you, I'm disappointed in our fellow Americans. It's damn hard to accept, but here we are. I still want your encouragement. We've got to stick together and soldier on. I love your brother, Beth. Well, that's true. And I said in one of my TikToks, I have a weird approach to things. And it's actually very logical, but it's weird in the sense that it's different than most people. A lot of people I know, first thing, go to panic, fucking panic. Think of all the worst things that are going to happen and then just freak out for a while and hope for the best. A lot of people do that. And I'm not begrudging them that. That's just how they think. What I've taught myself over the years is when you have a problem, when you have a failure, when you've been wrong, you step back, take a look at the problem. How did it happen? Now, as I've said before, I think I know how it happened. We had a failure in government, a failure in the judicial system, a failure in complicity with the media system, and a failure in our own party, the Democrats. That's how it happened. What do we do about it? Well, I don't know yet. We have to do a lot of things. We've got to ignore the media. We've got to somehow figure out. I mean, at this point, being that Republicans are in power, we can't fix a lot. So we got to start the fight knowing that those are the things that are pushing against us. That's why I say, taking the high road and being nicey nice, that's one thing. But we can't afford to do that now. We've got to be tough. We got to go after people. And I don't mean physically or violently. I'm talking about calling people out. That's the whole point of doing this show, is to raise consciousness through the narrative. The Republicans always control the narrative. And what I do here is trying to counteract that. And ultimately, as a people who are truly angry, we might be able to drown them out. And I think that's what's going to take. That's the first step. Many of the things that need to be fixed, we can't fix until we have some power. So we got to blow past that. We got to speak above it. And then we have to expose people for what they're doing. And to what end, I don't know. But we got to do something. And that seems like the most effective thing at this point. All right. The next one says, "Hi, Mike. I know you're all feeling so much anger and disappointment. It's been such a lousy couple of days for me and my immediate family." And that's what I want to say. A lot of people are feeling sad and going, "Oh, it'll never be. The sky is falling." And you want to just go curl up in the corner. Well, you're no good to us if you're going to do that. I'm not sad. I'm not scared. I'm fucking pissed off. And frankly, when I and many other people get pissed off, that's when you got to be careful. Because as much as I would like to say I'm a good Christian man, I believe in God, I believe in all those things. But when it comes to fucking with my kids, my family, my grandkids, my friends, our listeners, that's a bridge too far. And I will tell you this, I am a vengeful, vicious guy when I have to be. Normally I'm calm and easygoing. But I'm not going to have much sympathy for some of these fucks that have voted for this clown. They're going to suffer probably quicker and worse than many of us. And I hope they suffer wildly. I hope it's terrible for them. And when they come to us saying, "I didn't know," well, you should have fucking known. And now you're going to suffer. And if you die on the vine, good. I didn't get struck by lightning, so I got that going for me. I have a few close relatives that think the same way, but the rest of my family and relatives are Republicans and they all have their own reasons for voting Republican. But I was just hoping they would do better and not vote for this piece of shit. It's so hard to look at any of them and assume they voted for him. I'm so sad for this country. The Supreme Court is the most of my worry. They keep undoing things that help and protect people. This idiot will be able to replace at least 3 judges, and they will be young and MAGA. It breaks my heart to think of that, and I feel so helpless. It was so hard to look at Trump on that stage with his coked up son, his other dumbass son, and his fake ass wife all up there smiling. I can't believe these hateful, grifting, and selfish idiots will be in the White House again. And God only knows who he'll put in his administration. Our fate will be in the hands of a bunch of stupid, inexperienced, and I'll add this, evil motherfuckers. You're right. Harris and Walz ran a great campaign for what they were dealt. There was so much enthusiasm and so many people attending the rallies. I was so sure they would win, and I told my skeptical Gen Z kids who have been voting since they turned 18 that Kamala will win for sure. But they were not hopeful as I was because they've been witnessing what's going on in social media and all the mis and disinformation that's out there. I also blame the media and those billionaires that run social media platforms. They allow all these lies to run wild, and they allow outside forces to spew their lies to manipulate the American people. If this is not fixed, I feel people will not be educated in what is real anymore. I've been crying for days because I came from a dictatorship and no personal freedom country and know what the alternative is like. And that's why I'm so bitter. I'm going to say some stuff that people might get upset at me, but I'm at a petty stage. So here we go. If Trump sticks to his words and starts his immigration bans and deportations, there'll be 2 groups that will be affected the most, and I don't have any fucks to give them anymore. The 2 groups who overwhelmingly voted for him have been celebrating his win. They fucked around, and I hope they get to find out. Trump hates them so much, but they helped give him a win. Another thing is I want to address is whoever is blaming you, Mike, can fuck off. You worked so hard to bring us facts and give us hope for years. We are human beings and don't have magic abilities. Let them blame those who don't give a shit about finding the truth and voting. Thank you, Mike, for being there always. V, and it's not V from Under the Desk News. It's another V who is a regular listener and contributor to this show. Thank you, V. I appreciate that. I don't really honestly mind getting the blame because I've always said I really don't care. I care about my wife, my kids, and my granddaughter and my daughter-in-law. If they like me, my brother likes me, I'm good. I don't really get upset by people who don't like me or want to blame me. If you blame me, then why aren't you blaming the liberals that voted against Kamala Harris? I'm not the problem. I'm just the fucking messenger. You want to hate me? That's cool. I don't fucking care. Don't listen. Don't watch. That's fine with me. In fact, if you blame me, I would prefer you don't watch because what we're trying to do here is get people of a like mind together to give us some power. If you're a naysayer, good for you. You can have that ability to naysay whatever I say. That's fine. Just go away. And if you don't go away and you continue, I'll just block you. So fuck you. All right. Mike, today's post was your very best post I've seen in the past 2.5 years that I've been watching. Your post showed a lot of guts and character. It was also even inspirational in that I feel just a teeny fraction better, and that is most appreciated. I don't know which one that was. I've done a lot of them. But thank you for that. I appreciate that. The second reason I'm writing is that I would like to offer a suggestion for one or two of your future shows. I'm proposing that the show sponsor a listener volunteer group to work in sync with your show to operate an action group, take positive actions to fight back when needed. I suggest that you start by having a guest come on and discuss what it is that we want this group to do and how they should proceed. The guest could then make calls to people who previously stated to you in an email that they were interested and able to create it and administer an effective action group. Each email should include information and a description of the information of the person's history, along with a brief piece about how they want to help and why they would be a valuable member of the advisory committee. To start things out, I would nominate Old Soul to be the guest when discussing the committee for the first time. This is all could happen on a live once it gets started. The group could operate separate from your shows unless a special show is needed as situations arise. Well, that is my suggestion. Please feel free to write me if you have questions. Thank you for all you do and have done to keep us sane in the past and what you will do in the future. Max. I thought about something like that, and I appreciate that suggestion. And I would say I've thought about this, and I haven't talked to her about it, but I don't think she'll be. I think she'll be amenable to it. I think if we do something like that, we need somebody who can coordinate and administrate something. And of all the people I know, there's a lot of good possibilities out there, but she is far and away an incredible activist, an incredible organizer, and she gets shit done. So if we are to do something like that, certainly Old Soul would be my choice to at least be the leader on that. I wouldn't be the good leader on that. I can use the platforms and my voice to promote it, but I'm not a detail oriented guy. I wouldn't be good at that. And I'll talk to Old Soul. She's going to be on the show maybe tomorrow, and we'll talk to her about it. She's pretty fired up and pretty emotional. I think she would do anything to kick some Trump the fuck ass. All right. Next one says, my husband and I listened to your podcast together today. Several things came to mind and I wanted to write you about. Number one, please stop kicking your own ass. Well, I appreciate that. I'm not kicking my own ass. I don't ever kick my own ass. I do what I do. I stand by what I do. And if I'm wrong, I'll tell you I'm wrong. And then we move on. There's no point in feeling bad or sorry for anything. I did the best I could. I gave the best possible answers I could. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Fuck it. Like I say, I step back, look at what I did, figure out why it happened, and then move on and keep moving forward. There's no value in kicking your own ass. I'm certain that there was foul play involved in this election that none of us were aware of. So you did nothing wrong by keeping us sane and aware of the things that we needed to pay attention to at the time. There were many days where your voice and your podcast calmed my last nerve. I believe that if the vote had gone the way it was meant to go, Vice President Harris would have won. I will say this: the fact that she has been a prosecutor and has prosecuted many felons, I believe in my heart she will catch up with Trump and expose him for the ass he really is. I understand how the results of this election could cause you to question your purpose for your podcast. Some people think that. Well, you won't want to do the pod. Listen, motherfuckers, I'm a fighter. Just, and in my life, I've done things where I've failed, I've done things where I've lost, but I keep doing it because I'm too stupid to know any better. Now, I'm not concerned about my purpose. In the way I understand what my purpose is with people like you and everybody else continuing to listen in spite of what happened. So as long as people are listening, I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. I know my purpose. And whether I was right or wrong in this situation makes no difference. Whenever you're wrong about something, it doesn't cause me to stop doing it. It causes me to refigure and take a different approach. It's like I've always said, if it doesn't work, try something different. And I don't know that we have to be all that different, except maybe be more active. So I appreciate that, but don't worry about that. Don't give it up. Stay with it. Those of us who listen to you probably need you now more than before. Absolutely. If there's, I kiddingly said, for 4 fucking years, I kicked Dirty Diaper Donnie's ass. I figured November 5th I could take a break. Fuck no. He's back in, and I got to ramp things up again. That's just how I do things. I can understand the fact that you're questioning the change to a new type of venue where you offer real news as opposed to your own political views. I did say that. My point in saying that was I tell you one thing and it doesn't happen. Why would you believe me if I told you again? And I thought, well, I'll just be a news person like V. Well, I'm not a news person. I'm a guy with this kind of mind. So, as much as I said that before, that's not how it's going to go. I don't have the capability to do that. I'm going to be who I am. That's always what I've tried to do with the podcast and the TikToks. That's not going to change. I do not watch television at all. And when I say not at all, that means zero, zilch, nada. I would welcome a place where I could get real news, honest to goodness news. But I also value your political input because I find it sane and calming. Yeah, I agree with you. I can't do it any differently. I listened to a TikToker last night who made so much sense. She was answering questions that some Trumplafucks had to ask her. She made an immense amount of sense. I don't know if you saw her video, but her name is Past Perfect with Yaya. I don't know her off the top of my head, but trust I will check her out. Again, her video gave me hope. It's not over till it's over. Trump is not president yet. With any luck, they'll find the information that we need to find him. I'm probably gone on long enough to bore you to tears. Not at all. Hang in there and don't give up. Peggy Cajun Meemaw. Well, thank you, Peggy. I appreciate the support and I appreciate you staying on board to fight the good fight. All right. Hi, Boomer. I'm sorry that I've been inundating you with emails, but I listened to your podcast today and I'm so mad that people are insulting you. I always say that. It's funny. My wife will sometimes look at my TikToks and I get very few insults or attacks, but when I do, she says, "Oh, I don't know how you can continue to do this." The insults they don't do anything to me. I don't give a fuck. Honestly, I don't give a fuck. She says, "Well, don't you want to go after him?" I go, "I don't have to go after him. You say something shitty about me on TikTok, there's probably 500 people that will attack this person or at least call them out." And I appreciate that. I appreciate the loyalty and the support and all of that. But in terms of me taking it to heart, I don't. I don't. Frankly, if they're pissed off at me, I'm glad that I got in their head. You haven't done anything wrong. No shit. I haven't done anything wrong. We should all know how everything involved with DT is crazy making. None of this adds up. I believe there's an investigation of the election and Elon Musk going on. Biden and Harris are sticking to the fair election script so that the investigation and findings look nonpartisan. Just my hunch. I will gladly admit if I'm wrong and have acted like a conspiracy theorist. For now, we wait. A few of my siblings are listeners of yours now, too, and we are all Boomer fans. Thank you very much. My sister said to tell you to come to Buffalo with your wife. We might do that. We will show you the falls and cheer you up. That's exactly the point. My wife and I want to go check out Niagara Falls, and Buffalo would be the stop. I may take you up on that. I have not lost faith. I smell a rat, an orange rat with a dirty diaper, and I know the truth will come out. I'm a forever Boomer fan, and I still thank you for everything. Gabrielle. I appreciate that immensely. I do. And that's what I tried to tell my wife. I said, she goes, people will hate now. They're not going to hate me. They're just as confused as I am. Excuse me. All right. The next one says, I've enjoyed your podcast. They helped me feel confident that Trump could not win. You gave so much evidence of his lies, hateful speech, and crimes that I felt surely he cannot win. I don't think I can listen to your podcast now. Continuing to shed light on his egregious behavior suits no purpose. Disagree. He has proven to be able to get away with anything. Nothing will stop him now. He will never face judgment, and I believe he will become a dictator. I suspect someone will report you eventually, and you will be sued. Sad to say. Sue me, motherfucker. I don't have anything. Both my homes are in my kids' name, so fucking sue me. I dare you. It's sad that a majority of Americans support him. Maybe many of them come to regret that, but it's too late. I don't think I'm a defeatist, just a realist. Best wishes to you, Don. No, Don, you are a defeatist. You're a fatalist. When you run out of hope, what do you have left? Nothing. You want to curl up in the corner and cry? Well, go ahead. That's your prerogative. I choose not to do that. I choose to think there's always an option, an alternative to what we need to do. You don't want to listen? Cool. If you don't, if you want to cry and whine about it, that's cool too. And I'm not trying to put you down here. I just get frustrated when people behave like that, when they just give up. Well, Don, if you're just going to give up, what's the point of life in general? What's the point? If that's how you want to play this, that's fine. But I don't have time to waste on people who are giving up. Hey, fellow boomer, April 1961. Well, I'm April 1960. I was listening to your Thursday's podcast and you were blaming the media for Donald Trump first and second term as president. I agree with you, but I also want to add Merrick Garland for Trump's second term. I will 100% agree with you. If Merrick Garland had done his job and not been a pussy ass bitch, done it on January 21 of 2021, we would not be in this position. Merrick Garland is culpable in this whole situation. And I hope his legacy, which would have been great, is properly tarnished. He sat on his ass for 2 years while Trump got his defense together. Garland is the reason people aren't willing to help the police in investigations because they fear being left ass out once you give them information to charge someone with a crime. Just think about all the people who testified or supplied incriminating information against Trump who are now targets for the rest of their lives. Well, Mike, I too can say I fought the good fight just like you. Unfortunately, stupidity and racism won for now, but their ignorance will cost them dearly, James. And that's what I like to hear. We lost a battle, but the war is still on, motherfuckers. Hi, Mike. As we all try to recover from the shock of Trump winning the election, I want to share something that is making me feel a little better. Please share with your listeners. This is an app that tells you which political party, based on donations, companies, and brands, support. I'm using it to avoid spending my money with companies that support the GOP as much as possible. It's called Goods Unite Us, GUU, Bev. And I appreciate that, Bev. That's one thing we should do and continue to talk about. I will do what I can to expose those folks that um, support Donald Trump and try to sell us their products. If you support Donald Trump, I'm not buying. If you spew lies or manipulations like the mainstream media, I'm not going to consume your shit. I'm just not going to do it. Now, I said in one of my TikToks because somebody I thought was legitimate suggested that Elon Musk bought Ford, and they were pretty sure of it. And I talked about that just basically as an example as to who not to deal with. Now, that is a rumor. Ford is saying that's not true. That doesn't mean it's not true, but for now, we don't know for sure. So we can leave Ford on the undecided part. But it would be interesting to find out if the leaders of Ford did support Donald Trump. It would be interesting. So we need to check into that. As far as we know, Elon has not bought Ford. The fact that it came out could be just bullshit. It could be a grain of truth. I don't know. I don't know. But for now, Elon officially has not bought Ford. All right. The next one says, "Hi, Mike. I really hope you don't change who you are. Can't be done. A lot of people have tried to get me to change, including family members. Never fucking worked. What you say or how you say it. I love hearing your take on things. That's the main reason I listen to your show. And please don't think you've let anybody down because you haven't. Emotions were running high yesterday, and people probably just wanted to lash out at someone. So I wouldn't take it personally. I don't. Thank you so much for everything you do. I look forward to listening to many more podcasts and many more opinions. Sincerely, Lori." And I'll be honest with you, as much as there are a few people that I can't listen to you, you made me mad, you caused us to lose, those are few and far between. Most of the emails I get are like this one from Lori. So don't worry, I don't take these things to heart. I can piss off people in my own family, but we still continue on. Dear Mike, well, it's official. The orange turd made it into the White House instead of the toilet. I cannot fathom how this racist, disgusting pig won. This bastard talks so much shit about people of color, women, brown people, and anything that wasn't white. How could 25% of the Democrats not vote when they knew how costly a second orange Jesus presidency would be to our nation and the world? Got that same question, man. I don't get it. I just don't get it. One of my best friends and former bandmate is black. We had to deal with racism many times in some of the backwoods bars we played, but I've never been more worried about a man that is not only my friend, but he's now family. He got black men to vote for him along with Hispanics and Arabs. I cannot for the life of me ever see myself vote for such an absolutely vile, repulsive, vindictive bastard like Trump. I've been separated from my grandchildren because my son and his wife are so Trump drunk. I can't hardly believe it. My friends went nuts, the ones that are Trumplafucks, and were attacking me like crazy, gloating about the shitbag winning. I'm so heartbroken Kamala didn't win. Then to top it off, now the entire Congress and Supreme Court are going to be controlled by these MAGA imbeciles. I'm hoping he doesn't burn this world down and these soon to be shit policies, he's going to destroy us in the eyes of the world. Keep in mind, he still needs Congress to do it, and Congress has to think about reelection. I think a lot of what he's claiming is going to be a lot of talk. I mean, that's always been the case with Donald Trump. It's a lot of talk. He doesn't really accomplish as much as he suggests he's going to accomplish. Donald Trump is a liability right now for the Republican Party. That's why I wouldn't be surprised if something, physically happens to him because he's not healthy, or they just push him out. That might happen. I don't think they will allow him to do some of the egregious things he does because that will just hurt them in 2026 mightily. Goes on to say, I'd love to kick every single media outlet straight in the dick. What the hell happened to news anchors like Dan Rather or Walter Cronkite? They aren't held to account for their misinformation and straight out lies that they perpetuate. Well, you can thank Ronald Reagan for that and getting rid of the fairness doctrine. And from that point on, it's been downhill. These next 4 years are going to be absolutely devastating, and we will be lucky enough to survive this travesty. We will survive. Thank God I look to my elders like the Rational Boomer podcast. I'm Gen X, and I thought most of my friends were quite intelligent. Much like my oldest son, they have been swallowed up by the cult of stupidity, and I had no idea how many of them were. My mom is a boomer, and she decides she hopes she dies before he gets into office. Good Lord. No, she's not suicidal, but she's brokenhearted. This really pisses me off. I'm over the road truck driver and business owner. I'm really hoping I can survive the next 2 years financially. I'm worried Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid will be cut, so the elite will get another tax cut. When I try and explain the New Deal that was in place until St. Reagan took over to these people, they tell me that never happened. Yeah, they're oblivious. The lack of education our fellow citizens and friends of mine are absolutely baffles me. I'm starting to look to move to a European country. Anyway, thank you for reading this. When I wake up in the morning, I'll be listening to your podcast again, looking for words of encouragement. You make it easy to find a place of people with not only like minds, but ideals shared, and it's almost soothing. Thanks, Nick. Please don't be too hard on Gen Z. Remember, you voted for Reagan. LOL. That's true. When I was 20 years old, I did vote for Reagan because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. More testosterone than brain cells. That's just the fucking way it was. Um, no, I get it. I mean, we can't just all curl up in a fucking corner. We got to do something. And that's what we'll do. We'll do something. The worst has happened. Now we got to find a way to make it better. All right, this one comes from TJ, and I wanted to make sure I read this one. I'm going a little longer than I normally would. But he was adamant about me reading this, and I haven't pre-read it. Bits and pieces I have. Hey, Mike, I came to a realization today regarding the election. There's a lot of people hurting right now, Democrats, friends, and particularly women. But I want to tell you about something that is very important. I want to tell you a story about a young man that I helped, and I think it's very relevant to what is about to happen in this country. 6 years ago, I met a young man um, who is an immigrant from Iraq. This young man took a liking to me and we became very good friends. This young man has an interesting story. The Iraqi young man's father was a teacher in Iraqi schools and he speaks English very well because of his father. When Operation Iraqi Freedom started, the U.S. military was looking for interpreters for interpreting for Al Qaeda prisoners captured by the U.S. Army. He was 16 at the time. I can tell you the things that he was exposed to in that war were horrific. He told me a story about how Al Qaeda executed children in a school, and he and the U.S. soldiers had to carry the bodies of the dead children out of the school after killing the terrorist. I was taken aback by the things he told me. Eventually, Al Qaeda figured out what him and his brothers, who were interpreters, were up to. They stopped his father at a checkpoint and shot him. Fortunately, he survived, but ended up having serious health problems for years. Luckily for this young man at the time, George W. Bush created a special immigrant visa for interpreters and their families in the Iraq War because U.S. military recognized that these people would be killed at the conclusion of the war. He immigrated to the U.S. with his family and they all struggled. After we met and became friends, I helped him apply to an apprenticeship with the Plumbers Union to which I belong. It was life-changing for him. He got a living wage and a free education from an apprentice program. Along with all of this, I taught him a lot of things, and particularly about politics. And really, that's what this email is about. He called me today in tears about what happened in Tuesday's election because he's terrified about what will happen to him and his family. I told him and his girlfriend, who was expecting in March, to come to my house and talk to myself and Rebecca, his wife, and they agreed. I told them no matter what happens, we stick together. We will survive whatever Donald Trump sends our way. A lot of people are sad. A lot of people are depressed, myself included. I told him because he's not a white man, keep a low profile for the next 4 years. Let white men like me fight this fight so he's not in fear of Trump's retribution. That's what we all need to do right now. Fight for our disadvantaged brothers and sisters. We will fight, and all is not lost in the face of a fascist regime. But here's the bigger point about tonight. We're all hurting. I'm hurting. You're hurting. Women are hurting. Minorities are hurting. Many of us are scared and feeling badly about what's to happen. But I can tell you this, me inviting that young man over here tonight to reassure him everything was going to be okay changed everything for him. He now feels safer and reassured. That's where we are right now. Lift up your allies who are lying in the dirt right now. It lifted him up. It lifted us up. So everyone, please follow the example. We are hurting. Reach out to your allies, invite them to talk. It may be life changing for them right now. Reassure them about the fears, help them with their tears. We can survive this fascist regime together. They didn't defeat us. We live to fight another day. Lift up your friends right now. Take them into your home and help calm them. It's important right now to lift each other up. We will survive this. We will defeat evil. Don't stop believing. Sorry for the long email, Mike, but I feel it was necessary. Have a great night, TJ the plumber. Absolutely, TJ, and I appreciate that. And that message is something I couldn't agree with more. We people that aren't marginalized, we big dumb white people like me, we have to take this time to protect those people that are in danger, people of color, LGBTQ folks, people from foreign countries. If there's a fight to be had, we are people that are in a position to fight back. They are not. So it's incumbent on us to fucking fight back. And that's what we'll do. We aren't going to fuck around. We're not going to play games. We're not going to go higher. We'll meet them in the fucking ditches and we'll beat them like fucking rugs. All right, the last email of the night. Hi, Mike. My name is Cheryl and I live in Honolulu, Hawaii. My brother Steve turned me on to watching your podcast and he emailed you as well. You certainly made a great impression on him and I can totally see why. You were very positive about Kamala Harris during the campaign, which was very inspirational. I enjoy listening to you. You have a way of making us feel better. Unfortunately, Kamala is not going to be our next president, and I appreciate your opinions. You kept us all motivated and sane during all the Trump chaos. We all thought Kamala would win as she was the logical and right choice. As you say, we have to keep fighting for our democracy and not give up. I believe justice will prevail and good wins in the end. You tell the facts and truth, and I hope you will still continue to share your opinions. Thank you for giving everyone encouragement during this dark and uncertain time. You're amazing. May God bless you. Much aloha, Cheryl Lynn. I appreciate that immensely. And I don't know that I'm amazing. I'm loud, and I will continue to talk and continue to do what we have to do. As I've told you before, I'm not fighting this fight for me. I'm an old white guy. I'll be fine one way or another. And some people were mad when I said that. I'm just stating a fact here. I'm not saying I'm all good, fuck you all. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I'm in this fight not to save me. I'm fine. I'll be fine. I'm in this to save it, this country for my kids, my grandkids, my great grandkids, and all of you that take the time to point your attention at me to listen to what I have to say. There's a lot of people out there that are afraid and scared, and justifiably so. And as TJ said, it's incumbent on we white guys, as it were, to fight back. Tooth and nail. We've got to fight back tooth and nail. To give up, like some people want to do, is ridiculous. It's un-American. It's stupid, and it's weak. We are not weak. Anybody who listens to this show isn't weak. We are in this for the fight. We will be in this for the fight. And if we can organize even further, I think that's probably a good idea. I think Old Soul and other people would be better coordinating that than me, but I will always do my part and be part of that and continue shouting from the mountain, if you will, and getting the message out. So, Sherilyn, thank you. I appreciate the kind words. Um, I'm just the guy with the megaphone. I'm the guy that's talking loud. There'll be a lot of people who are TikTokers or on podcast afraid to do anything, like Don said. Oh, they'll find you and they'll sue you. Fuck them. I don't give a shit. You can try to sue me. Sue me for what? We still have the First Amendment. Donald Trump can't usurp the First Amendment. Everything I've said is true. Go ahead, try to sue me. I've made sure that everything I have at my age is not in my name. And I didn't do it to hide from taxes. In fact, it's cost me more taxes by putting my kids' names on the homes. But it doesn't matter. I want them to be safe. And I want to be free from any kind of vulnerability. I speak the way I speak because I don't have a boss. I speak the way I speak because most of my family agrees with me. And even if they didn't, they wouldn't be dumb enough to tell me to stop because they know I won't. So I'm not fearful. I'm not worried. And if I didn't think there was some hope, I'd be curled up in bed right now crying myself to sleep. And I don't think you can see me doing that. And that's not going to fucking happen. Anyway, I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to the show as you always do. I hope you have a great day. I'm hoping Old Soul and Will are coming up in the next couple of days, not how that's all going to work. Will is kind of an interesting one, too. He's one of those vulnerable folks, but he's willing to still speak up. That's strength, that's power, and that's courage. So we'll see what happens with that. Anyway, have yourself a great day, and we will talk to you again tomorrow.